Do you love guns? Hi, Gene Kelly here, and I've always been passionate about firearms. I started gunsmithing and went to gunsmithing school when I was just 18. I've been a professional gunsmith for over 40 years now, and I'm a licensed Class II manufacturer. I've been teaching gunsmithing since 1993. Now, we started the Gunsmithing Club of America 15 years ago to create a place where people who shared our passion, both professionals and hobbyists, could find reliable, trusted information on real-world gunsmithing. We wanted to provide a place where our instructors could continuously teach our members, where both hobbyists and professional gunsmiths could share their experience and learn from each other. It's to be a trusted community with reliable information. We knew that it would be an extremely powerful resource and tool to preserve our gunsmithing knowledge, provide our members with an enjoyable experience, and as a place that actually protects our firearms freedoms by keeping our guns functioning properly. As a member of the GCA, you'll have access to over 400 hours of gunsmithing instruction and techniques on video, all by qualified instructors who are masters in the field. You will receive our monthly Gun Tech video magazine and print magazine. Plus, the GCA members' website contains almost 200 extremely detailed firearm disassembly and reassembly video courses, hundreds of product reviews, firearms evaluations, and industry interviews. The Gunsmithing Club of America is a one-of-a-kind organization. There's no other club or group specifically dedicated to the art, craft, and profession of gunsmithing. As a hobbyist or a professional, you'll find that this is your source for the knowledge you need. So feed your passion about guns and gunsmithing by being a member in a community of like-minded individuals. If this sounds like you, join us today.
Firearms have been around for about 700 years. Even then, it was very, very critical to clean and maintain your firearms. And there are several good reasons why we clean our firearms today: to ensure the reliability, maintain accuracy, and to reduce the wear. Also, while you're cleaning your firearm, it's a good idea to inspect it for any loose parts, sign of wear, or even broken parts. When it comes to cleaning equipment, methods and techniques, there's been some major changes over the last several years. We're going to cover everything that you'll need to know, from choosing equipment and cleaners to which methods and techniques will give you the best results. So at this point, let's start cleaning. When selecting cleaning equipment, the most important thing to look for is quality. Now let me show you. These are aluminum cleaning rods, which I don't recommend for the simple reason they have a hollow plastic handle, which often breaks or seizes. The aluminum oftentimes will impregnate with an abrasive that can scratch or mar your bore, which will affect the accuracy. Along with that are the various cleaning tips and accessories. More often they will come now with a plastic tip, such as these, and I've had these break on the very, very first use, and I no longer use aluminum. If you only own one firearm, then I suggest getting a complete cleaning kit for that one particular caliber. And it will usually come with a good quality rod, such as this, solid handle, a clad rod, come with some oil patches and a brush. I recommend it very highly. However, if you got more than one or two calibers or types of guns, then I suggest a universal kit. This kit is for a rifle, pistol, and a shotgun. It's a quality kit, comes with a solid handle, a clad sectional rod, oil patches, and the tip. The only thing that you will probably have to buy extra to this will be the various calibered tips or brushes. Now, the most important thing in a cleaning kit is the rod itself. I'm going to show you some good quality rods. This is a one-piece steel rod with a solid rotating plastic handle. It has a clad surface on it, clad meaning that it is powder coated, furnace fused. And there's one other option that you can have, and that is a plastic sleeve over. The advantage of a clad rod is that the cladding material itself is much softer than the alloy of the barrel, so therefore it's not going to scratch it. Brass is also soft and not going to scratch the barrel. And another advantage is that in a sectional rod or multiple piece is that you can assemble and disassemble it many, many times without having it seize or gall. The strongest of all the rods is the solid stainless steel rod. This has a solid handle, and one of the major advantages of a stainless steel rod is that when cleaning a large bore rifle and you have a very, very tight patch or cleaning brush, you can exert more force on it, you're not going to bend it. Now, high quality cleaning rods are going to come with a brass muzzle guard. The advantage of a brass muzzle guard is it will protect the muzzle from the rod scratching or possibly ruining your rifle. Now, in a shotgun, what I particularly like about it is it will protect the interchangeable choke tubes. Now, we've talked about solid rods, and however they do have their advantages, there is one disadvantage, and that is that you require more space in which to store, or if you take them to a range, to cart along. Now, I do suggest if you don't have the space, then take a sectional or a multiple piece rod like it is in this kit. The other thing I recommend is that when you're out hunting or in the field, take along a cleaning kit with you. There are 3 examples here that I want to show you. This is the smallest of the 3. It's self-contained. This is the handle itself. It comes complete with the rod, the brush, the swab, and it's also a clad rod, and it has a muzzle guard in it. The other one's a little bit larger and can be worn on the belt, or it can be put in your pocket. It contains a good quality rod, and it's also clad, has a good solid handle. Here you've got your solvent, your oil, your patches, and a wipe down cloth, which is very important when you're in the field. A little larger, but very, very complete and very good quality. This is a brass rod. It's multiple piece, rotating solid handle. It has all of your brushes. It's got some universal oil in it. Another thing I like about this is that it does have a cleaning brush with it, and it also has a pocket over here for patches and also your wipe down cloth. Now, there's several things that we talked about. One of them is shotgun. I want to give you an option here on a shotgun cleaning rod, and that is the traditional wood cleaning rod. It has several advantages. One, the wood itself is very soft and it won't scratch your choke tubes. The solid wood rod is also bigger in diameter and is easier to control while cleaning. This particular kit comes with a brush, a swab, and an oiler and so forth. However, if you don't wish that, then the rod can come purchased separately. One other option in a shotgun, it's kind of a specialty option. It's a cleaning rod, and it has an oil absorbent fleece to it. And what this is used for is primarily for trap, skeet, and clay shooters. There are another couple of options, and I'll get into that when we start cleaning a shotgun. We've talked about quality cleaning equipment and accessories. Let me show you the ultimate in the cleaning kit itself. This is a solid hardwood cleaning kit. This one is for all calibers of rifles and all calibers of pistols. Comes with a hardwood rotating handle, a sectional rod. It has all of the jags, all of the various brushes laid out in its caliber, the swab, the oil, the cleaning cloth, and everything. One important thing that it does have that I do like, and it does have a bore light. One other thing. Quality does not necessarily mean expensive. Everything that we looked at has been quality and it's been affordable. I suggest buying quality cleaning equipment because it will last you and give you good service and protect your firearms. We've discussed cleaning rods and muzzle guards, and one thing I'd like to point out on the muzzle guard, if you don't have one, I strongly suggest getting them. Here's the way they come as an aftermarket device. And we also talked about aluminum cleaning rods. If you have an aluminum rod, get a muzzle guard. It'll certainly save your barrel. Next thing I'd like to talk about would be a bore light. I don't think that any cleaning kit is complete without one. This is a handy device. This can also clip to your pocket. If you're out fishing or something, you can use the light. Works quite well. The other most common device that we have for a bore light is this standard one. It takes 2 AA batteries. It works quite well. You can hold it down from the muzzle end or from the breech end. Works quite good. Brushes are one of the most important cleaning devices that we have. And how can you tell when you need a brush, a good brush? Oftentimes you'll have a brush and you've used it over a number of times. Here's a good example of a worn out brush. You can tell because the bristles are laid back. Part of them are even missing. There's a good example of the missing bristles. This is time to discard this brush. Get a good brush. How can you tell a good brush? Most of the time it's pretty simple. What I will do is I will take the brush and I will run my fingers across it this way, and if it lays down and does not come back up, or if it does not have much resistance to my fingers, then I realize it's not going to be a very good quality brush. Most of your brushes will come in this type of a container. What I will do is I'll take them out, run my finger across. Oh, this is much stiffer, like that. I can even hear that. This is a good quality brush. Oftentimes you won't be able to do this. Your brushes will come in a blister pack, so it's a little, kind of buyer beware. And sometimes the price will also reflect the quality of the brush itself. Now, my philosophy in cleaning brushes is I will take the least stiff brush or the gentlest brush and start with that. Then, if it doesn't do the job, then I'll step up into the next stiffness of brush. Now, I have these brushes laid out in this gentleness all the way up to the stiffness, so we'll talk about that. The general all-around brush that I like to start with is a nylon bristle brush. It's stiff, but yet it's made of nylon or some type of a compound that's similar, and it scrapes well, but it's very gentle to the bore. I'll start with this. If it doesn't do the job, then I'll go to the next one. This is also good for stainless steel barrels. Protects it. A lot of the manufacturers are recommending that now. This is the most common of all the brushes. It's a common copper brush. This is a good quality. I can run my fingers over it and it's very stiff. I'll use this for general cleaning of a rifle or a pistol. And that's primarily to get, the fouling and stuff out. If it doesn't work, then I will go up to a stainless steel. I'm very cautious when I use a stainless steel. You can see that this is very stiff and it is very abrasive. So what I will do with this, I would probably use this for a shotgun, or if it's a rifle that has been heavily corroded or rusted bore, I want the maximum abrasiveness I can get. I'll use this along with the proper solvents, and we'll talk about that later. The next one I really like, and this is for shotguns. This is what we call a coil wound cleaning brush. Nothing abrasive to it, but as you can see, it has a proper diameter all the way around, and then when you squeeze it, the coils move inward, which is good. It's primarily used for shotguns when you have plastic wad fouling and so forth. It scrapes it out, and yet it still maintains good quality bore finish. The last thing, and that's a swab. After I have the barrel completely cleaned and so forth, I will put some oil or a solvent on here, preferably a good oil with a little rust preventer in it, and then swab it out, and that's it. And then I'll take it off. Always keep it clean. This is the last thing that you'll do, and then put it in a little plastic bag to keep contaminants from getting into it. The next item is a chamber brush. It's a 2-piece unit. This happens to be for a shotgun. What a chamber brush is for is to clean the chamber from the powder fouling and sometimes a little bit of lead or plastic wadding, so forth. It works very, very well. I suggest using it. Next item is a what we call a slot type tip. Most of them are plastic. Don't use them. They are not strong and they won't last at all. I like either a brass or a coated one. Put a patch through it, but this is the least effective way to clean. The most effective way to hold your patch, and that is with a jag. It has a sharp point. You put your patch on, it holds it very, very firmly, and it has a round circumference, and it has grooves. That will do is will hold your solids and also your contaminants that you're scraping from the bore or removing from the bore and hold them captive. Brass is a good one. Also, another item, still a jag, still has a sharp point, still will hold the patch well, but it has an O-ring. What the O-ring does is keep the brass jag from touching the lands and the grooves and stuff in the bore, and a lot of your target shooters on precision rifles will use that. Now for shotguns, you can also use a jag. I like it because it's got a big patch on it, and you run it through the chamber, you run it through the bore. What will happen is the patch will fall off. This doesn't, holds it well. Recommend it. Now, another item, when you're stepping up into quality and you may already have a cleaning rod, but the accessories that you're upgrading to won't fit, here is an adapter. Strongly recommend getting one of those as well. Experience has taught me that cleaning patch material is pretty important. I know that shirt sleeves and various scraps around the house doesn't quite do the job nearly as well as a store-bought patch. Here's a good example of some good store-bought patches. This is a quilted patch. I like these. Right after I run the heavy brush through it, I will then take this quilted patch, run it through the bore, and what it does is highly absorbent and will pick up a lot of the contaminants and so forth. Then after that, I will go over to a regular cotton flannel patch, such as this. Now, when you select your patches, make sure that you get them to the right caliber or gauge of your firearm. Make sure that you size your patch to your caliber. 22 size patch is not going to work in a shotgun and vice versa. Now, when you're stepping up to a different caliber and you don't have any of your accessories, this is ideal because it has the right size patch, it has a good quality bore brush, also has your swab. This is a good way to save money and you have it all together. This is our last type of cleaning patch. It's called lead away and it's designed for getting lead out of the bore or around the cylinder. It's a standard size patch for your caliber and it's impregnated with a chemical to eliminate leading. Every cleaning kit should have one. When cleaning the hard to get recesses of your firearm, this is a handy item. It's a double-ended toothbrush. It has a very stiff nylon bristle on one end and a broader brush on the other. This is a handy item. It contains 3 brushes. One is a nylon for your general cleaning, and this is a multi-purpose cleaner. It's made of brass, and for your extra heavy-duty cleaning, use the stainless steel. This is a magazine bore brush. It's good for 22 pistol magazines, 45. Also, they make them in a larger size for box magazines on rifle. When you finish scrubbing out your magazine, put a little oil on this and swab it out, just like a regular rifle swab. Another handy little item, when you have some cake residue on it, you have to scrape it off and brushes won't get it. Use this copper or a brass scraper, gently do it, take the other end, which is a nylon bristle, just kind of whisk it away. The last thing that a person should do when they put away their firearm, whether it be a safe or in a gun stock, and that is wipe off all the fingerprints. What's been around for a long time is a silicone rag. These work well, but there is something a little bit better on the market today, and this is a rust inhibitor wipe down cloth. It's impregnated with a rust inhibitor. It's a heavy flannel rag. I suggest using this when going out into the field where you may have some condensate. The other item is lead away. We've talked about that in other patches. This is a larger size. It's primarily used for wiping down stainless steel guns and getting the lead off. An important item to have in your cleaning kit is an oil-absorbing cleaning mat. It will protect the surface that you lay it on, and it'll also protect the surfaces of your firearms and your parts. The AGI mat comes in 2 sizes. This mat will absorb 12 times its fiber weight in oil, and it's also washable. We've talked about cleaning equipment. Now let's talk about cleaning solvents. Our first category is the general purpose cleaners. This is a solvent-based aerosol cleaner. Its primary purpose is to power blast out any of the loose oil and small contaminants. Works quite well and it's very fast. This is a pump spray. It's a general purpose cleaner. It's a water-based, non-solvent, emulsifying cleaner that spray it on and wipe it off. This one I primarily use for applying it with a brush, scrub it and wipe it off. Handy little kit. Again, this solution is very similar to these. Spray it on, wipe it off. This one is a gel, and I put it on with a brush, let it stand for a while, brush it, wipe it off, then use a little protectant oil. A new item on the market, and is quite good, and that is a gun polish. It's good for all gun metal surfaces to remove rust and metal fouling. Bore cleaners have been around for a long time, but I'd like to discuss first why we clean a bore. Most people think that fouling and leading comes from high velocity lead bullets being eroded away and depositing lead. That really is not quite true. What happens is that you get carbon buildup due to the fouling from the burning powder. When that happens, it plates the bore, and then the lead and the copper jacket fouling leaves a coating. Now, if we can eliminate the carbon, all the rest, the lead and the copper fouling, will fall off. And we'll get into that in a second. The first type of bore cleaner will be the old standby, which is a solvent base. If you've ever cleaned a gun before, you probably used a Hoppe's. This is a little newer version of it, but it works quite well. The second type of bore cleaner is the ammonia type. It gets the copper fouling out a lot faster than the other type of cleaners that we've talked about. However, I'd like to caution you on this. If you're using a stainless steel barrel, then I would, as soon as I use this type of an ammoniated cleaner, I'd clean it, dry clean it good, and oil it well, because it does have a tendency to slightly etch the barrel. The newest type cleaner is a spin-off from the military, and it's a water-based cleaner. It was developed to clean the bores of the 20mm fast-firing cannons and the M60 machine guns. What this does is attack the carbon. If you don't have carbon buildup, then you're not going to get leading or metal fouling. If you do have it, it'll remove it, and it's the best possible cleaner that we have today. Last but not least, this is from my own stash right here. This is a JB bore cleaner. It's slightly abrasive. It's a long-standing good cleaner. What we do is we put that on a brush, run it inside, and it gets old fouling and rust out. Works quite well. It may be hard to get. If you want to get it, it's probably the mail order catalog is probably the best way. There's a number of multi-purpose lubricants on the market today, and they all do the job well. Now, AGI over the last several years has tested and used Break-Free and found it to be a very, very good product. It lubricates well, it does prevent rust, but more importantly, what it does, it has a cleaning additive to the compound, and it will hold the contaminants in suspension so it virtually cleans the gun as you're shooting it. If you've had the pleasure of watching an AGI gunsmithing video, Robert Dunlap, during the cleaning portion and lubricating portion of the video, uses Break-Free. As a matter of fact, it's a mil-spec item, and the Marine Corps uses it as standard issue on their small arms. Break-Free will come in several different ways. One is an aerosol with a spout, and it comes in a smaller container for your convenience. A pump spray, large and small size. Also, it will come with a spout to get into the hard-to-get-to areas. This is particularly nice, and I believe this also originated from the military service. It has a brush. What you can do is turn it upside down, saturate the brush, brush it into the areas, turn it this way, and it's self-sealing. It also comes in some small pocket size that you can carry with you in the field. I think you'll find it a good product. There's a variety of specialized lubricants that are available. This is a gun oil. It's just a general purpose gun oil with a rust inhibitor added to it. Same way with this, but there's no Teflon in it. This is an anti-friction lubricant. It's a lightweight petroleum base with a Teflon additive, and it's used primarily for small revolving or moving parts. For heavier duty moving parts, such as trigger jobs, bolt actions, and camming surface, this grease does an outstanding job. This is a military spec item. It was developed for the military for the Browning 50 caliber machine gun. They would usually malfunction at about 800 rounds, and they could extend its functioning up to about 4,000 rounds before jamming. The key ingredient in this is an anti-fouling device. It kind of cleans as it shoots. This item has been around for an awful long time. It has been available in most of your cleaning kits for a number of years. It's an anti-friction grease. The newer anti-friction compound that we have was developed for the military for high moving parts. It has a rust inhibitor in it, and it also retards carbon buildup, and it also cleans as it shoots. A specialized item. This is a synthetic grease. No petroleum products in it whatsoever. Primary purpose is used to make parts move silkier or smoother, such as bolts in bolt-action rifles. Another specialized lubricant. This is designed for stainless steel high cycle rate items, such as your rifles and your handguns. For the shotgun shooters that are using interchangeable choke tubes, this has an anti-seize compound in it for those fine threads, and it works quite well. You've seen a number of specialized lubricants, so select the one that will work best for your application. More firearms have been damaged or destroyed by long-term storage than anything else. Let's look at a couple items that will help eliminate that. If you shoot corrosive ammo or black powder, apply this to the bore or to the surrounding metal surfaces, and that'll eliminate that. Apply this protectant with a rag and wipe it down. Now, this is a unique item. It works like an aerosol can. Pump it up, spray it on, wipe your firearm down. Very simple and very easy to use. Rig has been around for a number of years. It's a heavy grease, protects your firearms well, and unlike cosmoline, won't dry out after years of use. Now, if you're in a hostile environment, such as sand and dirt, and you can't use oil, then I suggest using a paste wax. Use it just like you would on your firearm as you would on a car. Apply it, buff it off, and then that should give you good protection until you get back into a better environment. For heavy-duty bore cleaning, I would like to show you two systems. Number one is foul out number two. It's an electrochemical bore cleaning system. It works much like a reverse electroplating process. This is designed to remove copper or lead fouling, depending on what you're trying to treat. The kit comes complete with a chamber plug for the various calibers that you may use, and also the O-rings. Now, the O-rings will be placed on the electrode, such as we have here. Now, the electrode is placed into the barrel itself. Attach the leads as per instructions. Now, if you're going to treat for copper fouling, then you will use this solution. If you're going to treat for lead fouling, you will use this solution. At this point in time, we will pour the solution into the chamber here until you get it to the top. Turn our switch on, give it a certain amount of time as per the instructions. How can you tell if the chamber is getting or the bore is getting clean? Simply raise the electrode and look and see if you're having any contaminants that are clinging to the electrode. Now you know you're getting it clean. If you're going to be cleaning a lot of rifles, then as an option you can get additional and larger containers of chemicals. Also, as an option, you can get an AC adapter. The second item I'd like to show you is a chamber plug. If you're treating for corrosive ammo or black powder residue, insert this into the chamber, depending upon the caliber of your rifle, get the right size. Take your proper solution, pour it into the barrel, and wait for the prescribed time as per the instructions. Then remove it, clean your rifle as you normally would.
Remember, before working on any firearm, you must make sure that it is unloaded. With the muzzle pointed in a safe direction, visually and physically check the chamber and the magazine to make sure they are both empty. If they are not, remove any cartridges and perform the check again. Make sure that you remove all ammunition from your work area.
We're going to clean this rifle from beginning to end, and the techniques that we use will be very similar to other firearms. The first thing that I do before cleaning a rifle is make sure that it's unloaded and it's safe, and I already have the bolt already out. Now, I installed a stock boot, and this is going to protect the gun or the wood finish on the buttstock from any solvents that I may use, and also keep it from scratching in case I pull a rod out. First thing that we need to do is to get the bore good and wet with a good solvent. Now, what I'm going to use is a bristle brush, and I'm going to use a solvent on that. I think I'll use this because it's a pump spray and it's very, very quick. Spray it on, get it good and wet. Going to insert it from the breech end and not from the muzzle end. All I want to do is to stroke this all the way in, back out, through the chamber, get it good and wet. That looked pretty good. Now, let's see what color our patch is going to be when I pull it out. All we're doing, we're not trying to clean the rifle. The rifle is going to tell us what we need to do to the bore, and it's going to do this with the color of the patch. If it is red, we know we have rust in it. If it is green, we also know that we have copper fouling. Let's take a look. Well, there's no red in it, so we don't have rust. But let's say that we do have rust. How would we treat that? We will take a copper bristle brush, and then we will apply this particular JB bore cleaner, which is a mild abrasive. We'll insert the brush with the JB bore cleaner and we'll scrub the bore. We're not trying to clean the bore, we're just trying to scrub the rust out. Then we will put in a dry patch. Pull the patch out, take a look at it. If it's still rusty, run the brush through again. Take one more dry patch, clean it out, then take your bore solvent, wet the patch down, a new patch by the way, a good fresh clean patch, scrub it out, that should do it. If it doesn't, just repeat the process until you get all the red out. Now, our patch looks pretty clean, except for we got a little bit of copper fouling. What I want to do is I want to run the brush through there one more time with the solvent. You notice I'm not getting fresh or a fresh brush. I don't need it at this point in time. All I'm trying to do is to get rid of that gray, coppery looking color out, okay? You'll let it soak for a second. Now, I think what I will do is I want to try a clean patch. I'm going to put it on a jag. What I want to do is kind of squeegee it out, see what we got for color. I think this should do it. This is our jag. I'm going to put a clean patch on. It's got a little spear point, and that will hold it. This is a dry patch. A little bit later, I'll use a solvent if my color will so indicate. Now, with a jag, you run the patch all the way through and get it at the other end. If you try to pull the jag back with the patch on it, oftentimes it won't work. Here's the color. Well, we still got some brown color. You know what that indicates? That indicates fouling. It's carbon. We want to get rid of carbon. What did we use to get rid of carbon? A non-solvent, water-based, and they will attack the fouling. Okay, I think that I'll run one more patch through, but I'm not going to do it on camera. That's pretty good. I think I'll quit at that. It's reasonably clean, and I know that the bore is well protected and free of most of the carbon, if not all of it. Take another patch. This time I want to use some oil, and that way I know I'm going to protect it. I think I'll use a multi-purpose lubrication. Put it onto the jag. Roll it around. Make sure that you have it on good and secure. Run it all the way down. Now a little bit is dripping out, and that's good. Bring it back. I want to check the color just to make sure. Just a little bit of fouling. If I really wanted to be particular about it, I'd probably run another couple of patches through there. But this is good for hunting. We talked a little earlier about using a magazine brush. This happens to be for an automatic handgun, but it also works well for a box magazine on a rifle. I just want to get the dust and dirt out. Every once in a while, on some of your older guns, you'll have some dried residue, dried oil in there. We'll get that out. And if you don't feel comfortable about the rusting of the area, then put a light coat of rust inhibitor on here, or oil. Very lightly coat it. This is an area you don't want a lot of oil. Then you can inspect the follower and its spring. This looks pretty clean, therefore I don't think that I need any cleaning on it. But if yours has a little bit of rust on it, I'd take it out and clean it. The other area is the exterior surface. I will take my toothbrush and I will look in the sight area. Usually there'll be dust, lint, and sometimes dried oil in that area. And I will clean this area first without any solvent. If it doesn't work very well, then I'll take a water-based solvent. I'm not going to take a solvent that contains anything that may harm the wood finish on the stock. So use a water-based solvent at this. Clean it, looks pretty good. Now, there's a couple of areas that we haven't cleaned yet, and it's pretty important. One is the raceway on the inside where the bolt goes, also in the camming area where the locking lugs of your bolt will face. This is a complete kit. This is a chamber brush, mainly to cleaning out the oil or carbon deposits. This one is a raceway and a locking bolt way cleaner. I'll show you how that they're done. Insert this. All you have to do, this is dry, there's no solvent on it, there's no oil. Run it in and out just a couple of times to get all the solvent or any oil that may have gone into the chamber. Take this, you can either use a water-based solvent, or you can use a little bit of multi-purpose cleaner. Not much, just a little bit. Insert it in, scrub the raceway. Now, I'm going to act just like I'm turning the bolt itself. Going to turn it, it's going to go down right into the raceways. Okay, clean. Looks pretty. Let's see what we've done. See if that was dirty. Let's pull it out. Yeah, look at that. That's going to reduce wear on the area that receives an awful lot of pressure. That's when you fire the gun. There's one more option that I would like to show you, and that's a rod guide. A lot of precision shooters or people that shoot high-powered magnums will use it. What we're going to do is to insert this from the rear. Going to take this off. And if you'll notice that there's a solvent port here. I'll show you what that's for in a minute. Run it into the chamber. Here's how we're going to install this. Rotate this over until this handle will screw into it. Like this. Just as we get it almost snug, I'm going to push on the rod, push this to its in a locking position, and then tighten it. What this does, it traps all the solvent from going down into the gun itself. And this is sometimes critical on match rifles or single-shot rifles. We're going to clean the gun just like that we normally do. Let me show you. We're going to run the the rod through here, and here's where I would pour the solvent. We'll say that I have a patch or a brush. I'd put the solvent in here, and then I would guide it through, run it through, and clean it. This is a clean way to protect your bore and the back end of your rifle from any solvent or scratches. There's one other area that we haven't cleaned yet, and that's the bolt. Let me show you a quick and easy way to do it. Several things on the bolt. You've got some recesses in here that's very difficult to get, and because this is part of the chamber, the face of the bolt, we're going to get some fouling in there, particularly carbon. So let's get rid of that and get it out real quickly. This is an excellent way to clean it. Just spray it down. Now, I want to be careful not to get a lot of solvent in this area because it's very tough to take this thing apart, and if you aren't experienced, you can get into trouble. So let's keep it out of there. Look at the... You can see the color already changed of the metal. It's getting real nice, bright, and shiny because there was some dried oil on that. Now, what we need to do is to take this and lubricate it. One of my favorite lubrications is this. We've talked about this before, and this is going to retard any fouling, and it's a very good anti-friction device, and it has a good rust inhibitor because the bolt is bare metal, so let's protect it against rust. Put it into the rifle. We've got one clean rifle. There is one thing else that I would like to show you, and that is for a rifle, you cannot clean from the breech end, such as lever actions, 22 automatics, semi-automatic rifles. So what we're going to do, we're going to clean it from the muzzle end. This is the muzzle guard itself. What we're going to do, we're going to bring the muzzle guard down to the end of the rod, insert the brush into the bore. Now, at this point, our muzzle guard is making contact, and we want to have a firm hold on it. We're going to run the rod in and out, still holding the muzzle guard. Now, what this does, it protects the muzzle and the barrel from the rod itself. Pull it all the way out until it contacts the muzzle guard, then pull them out as a unit together. The cleaning process is still the same, just as we have shown you previously. This bore is real good and clean now, so let's take our bore light and take a look at it. Beautiful, shiny, almost like it's chrome plated. We're going to take all of our cleaning tips and we're going to clean them. We're going to get a lot better service life out of it. What I'm using is a water-based non-solvent type cleaner, just like that we cleaned the bore with. It's a regular bore solvent. Wipe it off. It's all we need at this time. Now we're ready to put it away for storage. We'll do all of our tips that way, including our cleaning brushes too. Let's remove our rifle. Take our boot off. One thing that I want to impress upon you at this time, you think that we're all through cleaning it. We're not. There's one other item that I would like to talk to you about, and that's taking our cloth with a rust protectant in it, and we're going to wipe down certain areas. Take all of our metal area, wipe it down, and if we get some on the wood, it's not going to hurt it. There are several areas that need special protection. One is the floor plate, the trigger guard, because these are the areas that we handle the most, because when we pick the rifle up, we usually will pick it up this way. And last but not least, take your bolt, work it into the bolt itself. Close the bolt, do your safety. This rifle is ready to go hunting with or put back into your gun rack. However, if you're going to store your rifle in long-term storage, and regardless of the condition it'll be stored under, I would suggest using a long-term storage protectant. This is a very good rust inhibitor. Apply it onto your rifle, wipe it down well, put it away, and I think that it'll serve you well for a long period of time. In cleaning and lubricating the older World War II service rifles, such as the M1 carbine and the M1 Garand, the new high-tech lubricants won't work on the older service rifles, such as the M1 Garand. What they do use is the old lubriplate. This is a heavy white grease, and it's available for Brownells. Let me show you where you'll place this in the M1 Garand. Any area where you're going to have a high degree of friction, such as the bolt coming back into the action, the follower, and also the operating rod guide spring. But the most important area is where the operating rod will come back onto the receiver itself. Now, another important area is in the hammer. The bolt will come back, rub against it, and cock the hammer. Make sure that you got it well lubed in that area. In cleaning the barrel of the M1 rifle, it's a good idea to invert it because it is a gas-operated weapon with a gas port on it. So as you clean the rifle, you're not going to get any solvents down into the gas system. Cleaning the rifle is quite simple, just as we showed you before. There's no difference in it. Another thing for the competition shooters today, a lot of the M1 Garands are used in match competition. There is a service rifle receiver port that you can place in here. Draw the bolt back, place the O-ring end into the chamber first, then let the bolt go forward. What this does, as you are cleaning the rifle, the solvents and stuff won't run down into the glass-bedded area. That's very, very critical to the M1 Garand. Another thing, as you are cleaning the rifle, you can add more solvent to the patch or to the brush. For rust protection, you can use an anti-rust cloth such as we've used before, or you can use a multi-purpose spray lubricant, put it onto a cloth and rub it over the Parkerized finish. That'll protect it a lot better than the old cleaners and solvents that we used back in the Marine Corps.
Now let's review the proper process for cleaning a rifle. First, make certain that the rifle is unloaded. Next, secure the rifle in a padded vise or cleaning fixture. Now run a test patch to determine the bore's condition. Clean the bore using the appropriate brush and bore cleaner. Run a dry test patch and repeat the process until the patch is clean. Clean all external surfaces and the magazine area. Clean the raceways and the locking lug area. Clean the bolt, including the extractor and ejector. Now apply lubricant to the appropriate parts. Remember to keep oil from the chamber, magazine, and gas system. Now wipe down the rifle with a rust inhibitor.
We're going to clean an automatic pistol, and we're only going to do a general cleaning. At least once a year, I recommend stripping your pistol completely down and doing a thorough cleaning. If you aren't familiar with how to totally disassemble, reassemble your pistol, the AGI Armor Series video will give you this information, plus how to lubricate and how to clean it. Now, first thing I do when I clean my pistol is I will soak the barrel and get it going free of any leading. So let's start with that. I'm going to take a non-solvent base, which is anti-fouling. I'm going to soak the patch well with this. This is the gel. I know that this works very, very well with lead fouling, and I know that this barrel is fouled with lead. I'm going to run it in, scrub it just a couple of times. Now, look at that. Look at that patch. That's carbon fouling, and that's going to really retard your accuracy. Now, let's take the slide. We're going to spray it down. We're going to get all the loose gunk and so forth off of that, and then we'll look at it. The area that I like to start with first is the breech face. Okay, inspecting this area here. This is an area where you get a lot of solid buildup. Clean it with a brush. While the slide is still wet, scrub it around. Get in all the nooks and crannies, particularly in this area here where the rails go. Now, I'm going to use a solvent base because it dries quickly. Going to spray it, blast it out, take one more final look. Take a look at our breech face. Very clean. Okay. We'll set it aside, let it dry. Now we'll start on the bottom receiver area. There are several places on this that I want to point out to you that you need to have clean. This is the feed ramp. That's where the cartridge hits, goes up into the barrel. That has to be clean. The area where the barrel rests, that needs to be clean. Also, all of your rails. And then last but not least is a magazine well. So at this point, let's take the power blaster and get that out. Try not to get it down into the trigger mechanism. If you have an air compressor right now, now's a good time to use it. If not, just kind of wipe it off, because we're going to work on this for a little bit. I'm going to take our high-tech lube, which is for high cycle rate, and this also keeps all of the contaminants in suspension. Put a drop here, 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 and we're going to work it in with a clean brush. Or I can use a pipe cleaner. I want to keep the magazine well clean and free of all oil. Let's go back to our slide. Okay, there's a couple of areas here that I also want to show you where to put the lubricant. Put one here, here, a drop inside the rail. Take that clean brush, work it in. I'm going to put the barrel in at this time. It's not the barrel that we are going to clean, just want to illustrate where we're going to lubricate it. And we're going to use this high stress lubricant here. Here's a place that I want you to put it. A little here, right here. That is where several items will come to bear, and it's high stress. In here, what you have left over, I want you to put right here, work it in with your finger. Also on the face of the hammer as well. Let's go back now and check our leaded barrel. This one is really leaded. Now, I can do this. I can scrub it with this brush and scrub, and I don't think that that'll get it out. What we're going to do is use the Lewis lead remover. Show you how it works. This time we're going to clean from the muzzle end. This is a screen, a soft brass screen. Underneath it is a rubber spud, and that's going to give us an awful lot of compression. Run it up here to where it's secure, and now we're going to pull on it. It's tough, very tough. There we go, all the way out. Let's check it and see if we have any leading. Look at all that lead. That was in the bore, and that will certainly retard any kind of accuracy that you'll have. This is a lot faster using a Lewis lead remover than anything else. Another area in cleaning the barrel, as you can see here, the feed ramp and the portions where the barrel meet the breech face has to be clean. As you can see this, they are not. Let's take a little bit of solvent. Apply it with a rag. Yes, that's clean, and that barrel should shoot very well. Let's check our magazine well in our receiver and also clean our magazine, and I think that we'll be ready for final assembly. Take our magazine brush, go in here, clean it out, and at the same time, clean your feed ramp. Make sure that that is clean. It looks pretty good. Magazine I like to keep dry, but what we're going to do is we're going to use a power blaster. Make sure that we get all the dust, dirt out. There's an area that I want to show you that you need to keep clean. This is the area where you're going to get a lot of carbon buildup. We want to make sure that that's clean. What I will do, I'll take the magazine brush, scrub in this area first, get it good, go down inside. And if the brush looks a little bit dirty, you can hit it with the power blaster again. This looks good. Now, like the magazine dry, take the magazine swab. If there's any oil on it, I will take it and squeeze it out. Insert it, put it down in. Okay. You can see we didn't get it all, but we did this time. Well, I think that our pistol is about ready for final assembly. When we do have it assembled, there's one thing that I would like to impress upon you before you put it away. Take your rust inhibiting cloth, wipe down all the surfaces that we handled.
Now let's review the proper procedure for cleaning a pistol. First, make certain that it is unloaded. Now field strip the pistol to prepare for cleaning. Run a test patch to determine the bore's condition. Clean the bore using the appropriate brush and cleaner and/or the Lewis lead remover. Now run a dry test patch and repeat the process until the test patch is clean. Clean the slide rails, breech face, extractor, and ejector. Clean the frame rails, feed ramp, and magazine well. Clean the magazine. Now apply lubricants to all the appropriate areas. Remember to keep excess oil from the magazine. Reassemble and wipe it down with a rust inhibitor.
Let's talk first about the barrel. In cleaning the barrel of a revolver, it's the same technique as we used in the .45 automatic. While we're cleaning the barrel, it's an ideal time to clean the cylinder. We have 6 individual chambers here. They're just nothing more than a miniature barrel. As I'm scrubbing the barrel, I will also scrub the individual chambers. Same technique, same process to do the job well. While I'm in that area, I will take the ejection crane and I will look inside and I will see if there's any dirt. Usually there is. I'll take the brush, try to get as much out as I can. If it won't, then I will take the solvent, put it on a brush, force it open, rotate it, and clean it. Oh, it's dirtier than it looked. It's a good idea to clean it. Rotate it around. At this point, just take a rag, wipe it out. This is a water-based solvent. Okay. Now, as I'm cleaning the rest of the cylinder, what I'm going to do is come up here to the front. This is the area where a revolver has the most amount of dirt. Okay. It'll have lead rings. It will also have carbon fouling. Do the same thing. Now, there are 2 ways to do it. One, I'm going to use a lead-away cloth. You may have that out already. Watch as I scrub this. Quite easy. Several years ago, you couldn't do this because they didn't have this product. See the difference? Now, the other technique that we're going to use, same thing. We're going to use a cloth, use our bore cleaning solvent in the gel form, and I'm going to put a little bit more on than I normally do because I'm going to clean all the way around, including the outside of the cylinder, because there may be some fouling there. Let's compare. See how well they come off. If it's extremely tough and it's got a lot of leading on it, you may want to let it stay on there and use a brush. Go all the way around. Look at that. Very dirty. Let's check our cylinder. It's getting clean. It looks like it needs another application. We'll do that a little bit later. Go over the rest of the cylinder and make sure that all the flutes are clean. These are called flutes. Oftentimes this gets dirty from the splashback of your lead. Another critical area in a revolver, and it's called the forcing cone. That's this area. When shooting high velocity lead bullets, you'll get an awful lot of lead that will build up here, primarily in single action revolvers. Right there. It's very tough to get out. I recommend taking that out with a good solvent in a brush. Just as we did before. Scrub it on. It may require several applications, but it'll come off. Let's just give it a little scrub. Okay. Take a rag and we're going to wipe it off. While we're in this area, let's just go around the window and clean it just in case that there's any additional fouling. That's going to require, coming off pretty good, but it's going to require a little bit more cleaning. Take your rag, cleaning the window. Look at it. See how it is. Make sure that this area is very clean here, free of any dirt, grit, or sand. This is very important because that's where the cylinder is going to rotate to. This is a firing pin hole, and we need to make sure that that's very clean as well. One other area that we need to get at to is this area. Clean that out with any dirt or grime. Now, most of the critical surfaces are now pretty well clean. What we need to do is look at where we're going to lube it and what kind of lube that we're going to use. Okay, this is a nice area. What we're going to do is use a anti-seizing oil, and what it's for is primarily for stainless steel. We're going to put a few drops in this area. We can work it in with our finger or a soft cloth if you care to. Another area is here. A few drops there, work it in. Oh, it works a lot smoother. Now, we have an area here that we haven't talked about. Down here, the ejector rod is going to fit in there, so we want to make sure that's clean, and we're going to put just one tiny little drop there. Rub it in. Now, there are several areas on the inside that need some lubrication. However, this will involve taking the pistol apart. If you aren't familiar with your pistol, what you can do is to get the AGI Armorer Series video, and it explains to you how to assemble it, disassemble it, lube it, and clean it, and also how to do a few other little items. Now, while you have it apart, what you can do is to add some of Smith & Wesson's high-tech lubricant to the interior moving parts of the pistol. Works quite well. Now, this is stainless steel, and oftentimes it may have a little bit of rust on it or some scratches. What we have is a stainless steel cleaner, or a polish, I should say. Now, it works equally as well on stainless steel as it does for other gun finishes. Blued finishes, it won't harm those. If you think stainless steel won't rust, you're wrong. Treat stainless steel just like any other firearm metal. Take your rust-inhibiting cloth, wipe it down very well before you put it away. We showed you some techniques for cleaning a revolver, but I'm sure that after cleaning yours for a couple of times, you'll develop your own technique and it'll be quite efficient.
Now let's review the proper process for cleaning a revolver. Make certain that the revolver is unloaded. Next, clean the cylinder face, the ejector, and the forcing cone. Now run a test patch through the bore to determine its condition. Clean the bore using brush and cleaner and/or the Lewis lead remover. Run a dry test patch and repeat the process until the patch is clean. Next, clean the chambers like individual bores. Now clean the window, cylinder flutes, and ejector rod seat. Clean and polish the external surfaces. Apply lubricant to the ejector rod and seat, and apply lubricant to the internal parts if applicable. Now wipe down the revolver with a rust inhibitor.
The last gun we're going to clean will be a shotgun. This will be a general cleaning, and I have the shotgun broken down into three main groups. One is the trigger housing group, the main receiver area, and then the barrel. Let's take a look and see what kind of dirt that we have on this, and this will give us an indication of how we're going to clean it. This has got a lot of unburned powder, old oil on it, and it looks like some dirt and dust. So let's take it over here, and we're going to hose it down a bit with a little bit of our solvent. This is a water-based solvent. It's the emulsifier type. We're going to let it soak, and we're going to go over here and inspect another area. This is the receiver area, and this is the part that gets probably the most trouble to a shotgun. One thing that it does, it's going to create more jamming problems and malfunctions than anything else. We're going to get dried oil in here, and all types of outdoor contaminants. So what we're going to do, we'll hose it down just like we did the trigger housing group. Get up here, the barrel area, or we'll get up here in the bolt area. We're going to let this soak for a minute, and we'll come back to it. Now, let's get to the barrel. We're going to clean the chamber first. We're going to use our chamber brush. Let's use a little bit of our bore solvent. In a shotgun, the chamber is pretty critical. If we don't get it clean, the rounds won't go in and they're going to create a short cycle or a jam. Move it in and out. That's stiff. It's a new brush. Good quality brush. Let's go back and take a look at our trigger housing group. See if we need any additional cleaning. Yes, we will. This is a good time to take a brush, just any old paintbrush, and go over it. What we're doing now is loosening up and actually moving around the contamination in the old oil and dried powder. Now there's a quick and easy way to get rid of this without making a big job out of it. I'm going to take a power blaster or an aerosol solvent. I'm going to blow everything out. Everything is moving out. All the contamination is going on my nice new carpet. Wanted to dry it quickly? I use an air compressor. It works very quickly. Let's take a look at it. Looks pretty clean. Real good. This is just about ready to do some lubrication. Now let's work a little bit on a receiver area. We know that this is pretty heavily with contamination. I'm going to use the brush, get in and move it around. While I'm at it, I'm going to hit the bolt face at the same time. That's another area. Right here. Work the cleaner around. Going to do the same thing with our aerosol solvent. I'm going to blast it out. I'm going to get it down here out of the way. Okay. All right, take the air compressor. I'm going to blow it out. By the way, this cleaning method that I just showed you works well on all types of firearms. Let's clean the barrel. Look at it. Now, cleaning the barrel on a shotgun is much just like cleaning the barrels on the rifle that we had. What we can do is take the cleaning rod, run a patch through it to see what color it is. If it's red, we know how to treat that. And what we would do, this is a jag, we'd put the patch on the end of that with a little bit of solvent and run it through. This barrel is pretty clean, but there is a little bit of plastic wad fouling in it, so I'm going to get that out. With that, I'm going to use our coil cleaning tip. Works quite well. I'm going to spray it with a little bit of the solvent. Run it down through the barrel. Now, if I did not have the shotgun disassembled, then I would have to clean it from the muzzle end. If I did that, what I would do, I would use the muzzle guard, cleaning it from the muzzle end. This time, then I would take put the jag on with a cleaning patch, run it through there, and it should be pretty clean. Once I know that the barrel is clean, then we'll want to protect it. I will take a multi-purpose lubricant and spray the swab and then run that through the bore. That should protect it. Now, there's another way to do this, and let me show you. The trap, skeet, and clay shooters, they will use this fleece and they will spray it very, very lightly with a multi-purpose lubricant or a light solvent. They will run it down through the bore. The reason why they do this in the field is they will be shooting an awful lot of rounds, 200, 300, 400 rounds. They don't have time to take their gun apart to clean it. So what they'll do, they'll just clean all the fouling out of the bore. There's one other item I'd like to show you on this. At the end of this, in case they do have a little fouling, they can take a brush such as this, or better yet, the coil brush, and screw into the end, and they can clean it at the same time then that they protect the surfaces. Now's a good time to inspect our shotgun for any form of rust, being that we have it disassembled. Just take a look at it, feel it. There is a little rust. Now, we haven't previously covered this, but this is going to work for all types of metal on your firearms. We'll take a little bit of 4/0 steel wool. We need some type of lubricant. I use a general purpose lubricant for this. I'm going to spray it on just a little bit. Over the rusted area, I'm going to scrub it. How long do you scrub? Well, let's take a look. That was not heavily rusted, so I'm going to wipe it off, and I'm going to look at it. I'm going to feel it. I don't see any more rust there. We got it off. Our gun is clean, and now it's time to lubricate it. However, if you want a more detailed cleaning, then I suggest using AGI's Armorer's course. That'll tell you how to completely disassemble it, reassemble it, and clean it. Let's get into lubricating the gun. We'll start with the trigger housing group. It's quite simple. We're going to do it very similar to the way that we did the cleaning. We're going to take a multi-purpose lubricant, break-free. We're going to spray it just gently, just a little bit. That's a bit too much. Now, we'll take the air compressor, and we're going to blow this down into all the tiny parts that we normally couldn't get to. Now, I'll show you what I mean. Look, everything is clean, it's well lubricated. The air has forced all the lubricant down into the places we normally couldn't get to. Looks very good. There's a little bit more oil on there than I normally use, so I'll just wipe it off. Now, we do the same process down here in the receiver area. That's all we need. Take the compressor, blow it off. The barrel is clean. We've already gone through it on the inside and out. Now's a good time to do our final assembly. After you have it assembled, don't forget, take your rust protectant cloth, clean it down before you put it away. One other thing I like to add, clean up your equipment as you go. Drop it in there, and then when you put it away, all your gear will be clean.
Now let's review the proper procedure for cleaning a shotgun. Be certain that it is unloaded. Now field strip the shotgun. Run a test patch to determine the bore's condition. Clean the bore using the appropriate brush and bore cleaner. Run a dry test patch and repeat the process until the patch is clean. Now clean the receiver, including the bolt and bolt carrier, and clean the trigger guard assembly. Now is the time to remove the choke tube, clean it, and reinstall it with choke lube if applicable. Remove any surface rust with 4/0 steel wool and lubricant. Now apply lubricant to all the appropriate parts and reassemble and wipe down the gun with a rust inhibitor.
We've shown you a lot of equipment and products and demonstrated some good cleaning techniques. There's three things that I would like to leave with you. One, buy good quality firearms and cleaning equipment. They'll last you a lifetime. Number two, consult your local gun store because they're quite knowledgeable, and I know that they'll be happy to help you in your needs. And when you do have quality firearms and cleaning equipment, you can hand that down from generation to generation. And I'd like to thank you for your time. I've enjoyed it, and good shooting.
Do you love guns? Hi, Gene Kelly here, and I've always been passionate about firearms. I started gunsmithing and went to gunsmithing school when I was just 18. I've been a professional gunsmith for over 40 years now, and I'm a licensed Class II manufacturer. I've been teaching gunsmithing since 1993. Now, we started the Gunsmithing Club of America 15 years ago to create a place where people who shared our passion, both professionals and hobbyists, could find reliable, trusted information on real-world gunsmithing. We wanted to provide a place where our instructors could continuously teach our members, where both hobbyists and professional gunsmiths could share their experience and learn from each other. It's to be a trusted community with reliable information. We knew that it would be an extremely powerful resource and tool to preserve our gunsmithing knowledge, provide our members with an enjoyable experience, and as a place that actually protects our firearms freedoms by keeping our guns functioning properly. As a member of the GCA, you'll have access to over 400 hours of gunsmithing instruction and techniques on video, all by qualified instructors who are masters in the field. You will receive our monthly Gun Tech video magazine and print magazine. Plus, the GCA members' website contains almost 200 extremely detailed firearm disassembly and reassembly video courses, hundreds of product reviews, firearms evaluations, and industry interviews. The Gunsmithing Club of America is a one-of-a-kind organization. There's no other club or group specifically dedicated to the art, craft, and profession of gunsmithing. As a hobbyist or professional, you'll find that this is your source for the knowledge you need. So feed your passion about guns and gunsmithing by being a member in a community of like-minded individuals. If this sounds like you, join us today.